Rumors have been flying around that Coinbase could well be on its way to relist XRP. These headlines have been flooding my timeline, and I think we could be looking at a relist from Coinbase. So I did some digging to figure out why crypto enthusiasts are convinced Coinbase could relist XRP, and I found this tweet. From Coinbase earnings report, we may determine not to remove a particular crypto asset from Coinbase spot market even if the SEC or another regulator alleges that the crypto asset is a security, newly added risk disclosure. That's an interesting stand by Coinbase, considering they were among the first crypto exchanges to delist XRP. Maybe now they've taken a stand against the current SEC versus Ripple case. Digital Asset Investor replied on this tweet, saying, "As long as it is built on Ethereum, right, Brian Armstrong? When relist XRP? When Flare?" But before we get into more, let's roll that intro. As always, welcome to Moneyside, your favorite crypto channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way you get updates when we drop new videos. And don't forget to smash that like button. And remember, you can always leave a question or a comment in the section below.
What I do as an investor, one, I would follow the money. Yes, it is my name on U.S. currency, almost $1.8 trillion with my name on it in currency in circulation, so no one has made more money than I have. But if I were following the money, where is it going? It's going to the metaverse, it's going to blockchain, it's going to artificial intelligence. Technology and innovation will be the key. And here's what's important to remember. In 2007 and 2008, we saw a huge growth of investment in technology and innovation. This was during the downturn. What was invented in 2007 that has turned our world upside down today? Anyone? The iPhone. Very good. The iPhone was invented in 2007. There is no doubt. And then obviously subsequent to that, you saw Facebook, you saw Google, you saw Airbnb, you saw Uber. In one of our biggest downturns, innovation still mattered. And that's going to still be the case. This is a very resilient global economy, and a lot of that innovation is happening here. Absolutely, it's happening here. But when I think about the pillars of capital, financial capital, physical capital, intellectual capital, it is human capital that still remains the best investment to make. And I know that's happening here in this country. I know it's happening in the U.S., and I want people to remember that this relationship that the U.S. has with India is so important. You might recall that President Obama visited India twice during his administration. You also know that President Biden has had 2 in-person bilateral meetings with Prime Minister Modi. That relationship will absolutely, no doubt, continue. For the person who was born and raised in Silicon Valley, I know firsthand the economic, the political, and the social influence.
Rosie Rios is on the advisory board of Ripple. And if we were to follow where the money is, then you don't have to be a genius to figure that out. Rosie hasn't supported a lot of projects over the years, but she was quick to jump onto the Ripple train. Why? Because what this company is trying to achieve is the future of finance and crypto as a whole. It doesn't matter the current negative press around crypto, and especially XRP. What matters is the future and how these cryptos are changing the world in real time. Listen to this.
I think Director Hinman at the SEC said it right. It's about information asymmetry. Give an investor enough information so they can take the risk. Government shouldn't, it's not a nanny government. We're not, but the investors can take the risk as long as they get enough information.
A person can be bought from any number of different identities. We may limit the precise the unit type of the sale. This will make it easier to the size.
How might such a regulatory regime affect the functionality of the Ethereum network?
I think that, and Mr. Ness raised this question earlier, there's friction right now because we don't have the beneficial ownership. Securities laws say we have to have full and fair disclosure, and we have to keep track of anybody who owns the security.
Let's say if you want to privacy, they can buy 50,000 yens and just so nobody stares and go with the more established bridges. So if you are real, if you want to buy the best thing on several billion US dollars worth, then you can do that in the multiple entities.
But I believe that it's important to track beneficial ownership for all the reasons about illicit activity and taxing it.
Ask for real world identity check on those, but address the stored, we can make sure that everything for smooth or innovations like this. But we will be required. So we can create a pseudonymous TM
Inclusion.
Digital asset investor commented on this video stating, Congress, as of right now, the White House, CFTC, and SEC are conducting a full assault on all of crypto except Ethereum and Bitcoin. ETHgate makes FTX look like a picnic. There is no digital asset that has been involved in more potential fraud and money laundering than this one, and yet it's left alone. Why? Who are those disguised whales? Why no interest in revealing them? The emails from the ICO and the identities of the purchasers could easily be tracked. New day? Anyone? At GOP Majority Whip, at Patrick McHenry, Representative Huizenga. When hearings? When anything at all? The simple answer is that Ethereum is too high profile. They can't bring it down. More importantly, they might have investments in Ethereum. That's why even though this crypto is involved in so many illegal issues, they can't take it down. Same thing could have happened with FTX, is CZ never made any comment towards the company. FTX had all the right people in their back pocket, even though they were misappropriating funds right under the government's nose. Nothing could have ever taken FTX down. Not until CZ decided to back out of this friendship, since SBF was trying to push an agenda that could make them a monopoly in the US, while all the other exchanges are kicked out. Those are the true facts, whether we sugarcoat it or not. I mean, do you think Gary Gensler could have gone after FTX before the collapse? Hell no.
And there's a question that I really wanted to ask you. It's along the same lines, but kind of slightly going in a slightly different direction, is in and around XRP and Ripple. What are your thoughts? Is it going to have an impact? Is it going to drive markets? Is there going to be some kind of a bubble bursting? Is it the dagger in crypto, or is it a breath of fresh air?
Well, gosh, I don't know where these court cases are going to wind up. I think, I sort of alluded to it earlier, there's a lot of these cases floating around that the SEC seems to be taking this more of a approach of allowing the courts, frankly, to make the decisions. And by bringing these cases, they're turning it over to judges. And maybe that's the right answer, but it's, at the end of the day, we're going to figure out, I guess, through case law, what is a security and what is this mutability mean and where are we going to go from here? But whether it's the library case or the Ripple case, I think there's some really important questions about, even if something might have been a violation on its facts and circumstances at the time, is it still a security, today? And that's a really important, I think, question for a lot of, all the Coinbases of the world that are trading all these utility tokens. They want to know, are these things securities today, or have they transitioned to commodity status? And I think that's a very big open question, honestly, in the case law that cases like Library and Ripple may start to shed some light on. And, it would have been nice if the SEC sat down and really thought this through and came out with a position. That's sort of what we had advocated, is let's come up with a, more of a rulemaking safe harbor type approach that makes sense. But it's really hard to do that. I mean, it's, in some ways, throwing it to the courts makes the most sense to me anyway, because it was probably always going to end up there. You probably wouldn't have come up with a thing that pleased everybody anyway. So we probably would have wound up in court. But that's where we are, and we're going to see what some of the judges think here. And some of the cool open questions are, when you look at an investment contract type security, historically, when things were an investment contract, we just didn't do them. We just didn't move the project forward. We just said, oh, sorry, you're violating securities laws. But with the advent of crypto, we now have this crazy product market fit for things that could arguably be investment contracts. So we are having to figure out what that means. Like, we don't have line item disclosure requirements for investment contracts. We have it for equity type securities and debt type securities, and that's it. And so it really becomes an interesting thought experiment in terms of, gosh, what are, investment contracts? What's material to the holder of the investment contract? The issuer doesn't always have all the answers, when you're talking about something that's completely decentralized, where the value proposition of the token is dependent on a whole bunch of projects that are creating the demand for the project. It sort of becomes this decentralized thing that nobody really knows what information is going to move the market, because the features and functionality are just not moving the market anymore. It's really demand. And once that demand becomes totally decentralized, you have a very interesting problem. So that's, I think, figuring out where and when and how these investment contracts change from being investment contracts to a non-security transaction when you sell the token is a tough one.
As always, do your own research and always trade safely, guys. We offer prayers for the victims of the earthquake in Turkey and in Syria. Please keep in mind, we're not a licensed financial advisor. All videos on this channel are intended for entertainment purposes only. Let us know what you think in the comments section below, and let's have a conversation. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like this video, and please click on that subscribe button below and turn on notifications so you get informed whenever we post our amazing content. Thanks again, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next Money Side.